So when you were on the ground with the IDF, Sumit, just take us through these preparations that they were doing for the offensive. I saw you with a lot of tanks there inside Gaza.
So initially when I reached these locations, their first target is to secure the area, Sedrot, Ashkenal,
all the perimeters.
Yeah, all the areas where the Hamas have entered. And the second biggest challenge to mobilize the armored artillery, their ground forces, and to put the reserves on backup, so that they, if they try and enter the special forces, they try and enter the Gaza City, then they have a proper backup. They should not be without backup. And now when they have a proper backup, they have everything now they started entering, but still their main challenge is to get all the armored vehicles. If you remember that first American aid to them, defense aid, is the armored vehicles, the Iron Dome shells. So they need all these backup, because they already know that this war is going to be for a very long period, and they wanted to establish, and they don't want
up on weapons and
they don't want their place to be the second example like Afghanistan, Iraq. They wanted their war should be on their own style, on their own way.
Right. So this is Colonel Singh, urban war on a scale that we've not seen ever before.
No, here see, like Sumit said, the urban war is very slow moving.
Right.
Unlike if you have
slow
a plane
grinding,
slow grinding, and
small battles.
Because we have to take a lot of caution on security.
Right.
Their own security of own personals, because so many things can be booby trapped.
Right.
You know, a left building might be, oh, this is something you can't just walk in.
Right.
Whereas in a plain ground, you can just walk in kilometers and without any obstacle. Because whatever you see, that is there. Here there are so many unseen and hidden things which are lying inside. So that is what is the danger of the urban warfare. And a sniper, just one plain sniper sitting somewhere, and he can create havoc on you. So they can't permit that also to happen. That's why it is a very slow.
So you've been part of Operation Pawan, 1987 in Sri Lanka, which I think the Indian Army's only deployment in urban warfare.
Yes.
And how complicated was that war? I mean, the only time the Indian Army's been into cities and fighting an urban war.
So I can tell you small incidents also. Like the militants there, they used a mine called Johnny Mine, which was a small mine, which was initiated on somebody stepping on it.
It's a bouncing mine.
No, it was a small wooden piece with like a clip like sort of. Moment you press on it, and it will burst. So water points. Now when we went there, we needed water. So what was a well or a abandoned well, we would put our thing. So moment they abandoned a well and we saw a well, we just went rushing. The first mistakes we also done. We just went rushing in, and our men stepped on those mines. Then we realized, oh no. So any water point, you just can't go straight, because that is a requirement. We have to go to there. A water hole is a requirement. We have to go there. But then we have to be very, very cautious and slow. So we had to first clear the area completely, put it on guard, and then approach that water hole. So I am saying the similar problem is going to be there also. They just can't approach anything. A hospital, oh, just go straight. No. If a hospital is left by them, that means it is definitely booby trapped. So that is the caution they have to exercise in urban warfare.
While we are on the intense urban combat that seems to be unfolding in northern Gaza, there is also the story of over 1.5 million Gazans, many of whom are headed southwards to the Egyptian border, the Rafa Crossing. Sumit, you've been at the Rafa Crossing. Describe to us what it's like over there.
Basically, it's a transaction between Israel, Egypt, and the Gaza Strip. So very complicated, very strategically important place, and that's why we have seen that all the trucks with the relief material and everything, it's passing from the Rafah border only. It's I think 280 kilometers of Egypt and the Israeli boundaries, and Rafah is more important because that is a transit point from the Gaza Strip to the Egyptian areas. And Israel have very categorically, very specifically, they have mentioned this: if any kind of relief material, any kind of thing which bypass to the Hamas, will try and target all these locations. So this is a very sensitive area also, and most importantly, we have also seen, because when I reach all these locations, I have seen that how
there on the map there,
the Egypt side also, because it's very peaceful place from last so many years, but with all these war scenario, Egypt also moved their tanks and some of the ground forces to this trajunction.
Is it because they fear that
yes,
the refugees would try and
refugees
break through?
Will come, and they have also fear that Hamas will try and target the Israeli side from Egyptian soil if they come with the local population. So they are very, it's a very sensitive area, because Egypt also have a notion that something will also come to their land, and they will also involve them in this war.
Right. And what are we hearing about the 1.5 million people? Where do they go? There's been talk of them being housed in some kind of a tent city around Gaza.
I think they have been working on multiple options. They have been discussing all these options, but till now, Sandeep, nothing has been finalized. There is no proper proposal that where will this population will go. They only mentioned all the population from the north side just move to the south side, but the huge population, it's a very huge population, and it's very difficult to cater all these people in such a small area. So I think they need to do something, but yeah, there is no final decision from the other side.
So Colonel Singh, tell us this mass of humanity that's there, that's moving south. I mean, how do you house 15 lakh people? I mean, that's like an entire Indian city on the move.
That's a challenge to all the nations. Like in 1971 war, we had such a
6 million
so many prisoners.
Right.
So no, I'm talking about the prisoners also.
Right, of course, 100,000 prisoners.
Yes, so how do we cater to them? So we disperse them into various areas. But here the problem is governance. No government is going to take them. Egypt is not ready on one side. This is Israel, and where do the other side is sea? So where do they go? So that's a challenge.
Absolutely,
it's a governance challenge.
It's a governance
challenge.
The
next portion, what you are asking is technology. Like, okay, we'll have tents or we'll have administrative arrangements. That can be done pretty fast with the modern technology we have. But first, the governance, decision making. Where do we house these people? Which is the place? Which is the area we give them? Like you were saying, which area we should give them? That is a difficult question.
But Sumit, there's been a lot of resistance from both the Jordanian heads of state and Egypt. They say that don't send the Palestinians into our country. What's the reason for that? Is it because they don't want Palestinians into their territory, or they want to kind of, keep themselves safe?
Sandeep, obviously this became a very huge threat for Egyptian and the Jordan. I think today also I've read somewhere that now Egypt have started checking some passport also. Some people have been coming from their side, from Gaza to the Egypt. They are checking their passport. They are monitoring everything. So they have a also input that these people, the Hamas militants or the local cadres, will try and mix up with the local population. They will start working from the Egyptian soil. So that's why Egypt is very particular and very careful in all these people who are coming to their land.
Right. And meanwhile, the US and Qatar and Egypt, they've all been working on working to open the Rafa border crossing. But it's again very small numbers that they're talking of. Any reason why they?
Because initially they only want those people who have been verified multiple times, they have proper passports, they worked earlier on the Israeli soils, so they are allowing all those people who have a background of working and not have a background of any Hamas related activities.
Because Egypt doesn't want Hamas to enter Egypt.
So that's why they have very particular, they have mentioned this point that only those people who worked in Israel on their work grants, they can come to our side, otherwise no people is allowed.
But so it's very clear that these 1.5 million people, all of them are not going to go into any other country. They have to remain in Gaza. And what about this talk that we've been hearing about the post-Hamas scenario, Sumit? How does that play out?
That is the most challenging part. I think because, as Colonel Sir also mentioned this point, governance is the biggest challenge. If you remember that America also asked
the political process after the military action
Israel
is over.
Not only mentioned this point that we are going to neutralize, we are going to wipe out the Hamas militant cadre, but also the political cadres, political leaders also. They have been doing that. So who will govern the Gaza Strip? Who will handle all these populations, civil populations
after Hamas is gone?
After Hamas over. So that is the biggest challenge. That's why everybody is monitoring that we need to find out some solution, so that after all these operations get slowed down, they're about to over, we need to establish that mechanism so that the civil population have something in their hand. They have proper life which they are asking from the Gaza Strip.
And Colonel Singh, this brings me back to Sri Lanka again, over and over. All the scenarios that you're seeing over here, whether it's the use of human shields, all very reminiscent of Sri Lanka, what the LTT did with
Here, another thing I want to add on is see, all the countries are ready to give support to either
Right.
Hamas or to Israel, depending on where their alliance is. But nobody is ready to take on these people who are being evicted from the Gaza Strip.
The Palestinians.
Because if you go back into history, this whole Gaza Strip was made as a settlement
Right.
for people, Palestinian people.
Right.
And from Palestine, this Hamas thing came up.
Yes.
So nobody wants that to happen in their
In
own
their own
territory.
countries.
So that is why the governance becoming a challenge. Otherwise, they would say, okay, chalo, theek hai, we'll give them
Right,
an area and
right,
we can settle
right,
down. Because this area was done, this thing exercise was done, given them an area to settle down. And but see what has happened today. This is where is the challenge. So who is going to accept it and how do we, like Sumit is also saying, people who have worked and who are workers, nobody has an issue.
Yes.
They'll come and work into my country, that's not an issue. Issue is ki this will ultimately again after a few years convert into a Hamas.
And they don't want militant activity on their soil, which is what the Jordanians did with the PLO in the 1970s.
Absolutely.
Black September.
So
I'm afraid I'm totally out of time. Thank you so much for joining us, Colonel Singh, Sumit.
Thank you, Sandeep.
We'll continue to track news and developments on the News 9 Plus show. Thank you for watching.
thank you.